Hello everybody and welcome to the TripleJump Podcast. It's a video game podcast. My name is Ben.
And my name is Peter.
Good morning, Peter.
Good morning, Ben.
How are you?
I'm okay. I'm a bit... When it comes to video game news, I'm a bit flipping exhausted. It was quite the day yesterday.
Just didn't stop coming, did it?
It didn't stop coming, especially for IPs that I'm quite closely... or quite interested in. So as well as all the Lucasfilm gaming stuff and Star Wars and stuff like that. I don't know if you know, a Crash Bandicoot cartoon was sort of in development.
Oh my goodness, no, I didn't know that.
I don't know if it was ever officially revealed, but everyone knew that it definitely was actually happening. And now, also, I don't think it's officially been revealed that it's been cancelled, but everyone knows that it definitely has actually been cancelled. So,
okay.
And that was yesterday. I wasn't that excited for it, but I was interested at least because it was Crash. And then there was something else. There was Hogwarts Legacy has been delayed. It was all in one day. It's madness. So nothing better than a packed day like that, and then waking up and doing a video game podcast first thing in the morning.
Well, the good news is that we won't talk about any of it.
Yeah.
Well, we'll talk about some of it, but we won't talk about much of it. So you can rest assured that it will be an easy-ish ride.
It will.
Kind of.
Yeah. We'll see.
Maybe.
Well, this is our video game podcast where we are sponsored every week by a video game related company. Isn't that right, Ben?
That's true. It is true. And it's always a real company as well. It's great. This is sort of our primary. That was weird.
Primary.
Sort of our primary source of earning at TripleJump. So it's important that we keep this podcast going and we keep the sponsors coming, Got to keep that money rolling in to keep the lights on at
cash
home
money
where we're working at the moment.
Yeah.
But I have this week's sponsor here. I've got the ad read. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
We, this week, are sponsored by Trim Diana's Loans.
Sorry?
Trim Diana's Loans.
Trim Diana's Loans.
Trim Diana's Loans, yes. Or perhaps it's Deanna. I don't know. I would pronounce it Diana.
I see. Trims Deanna Diana's Loans.
Trim Deanna's Loans.
As in... Trims Deanna's.
No, you've added an S. You've added an S. There's no S on trims. It's trim.
Oh, okay.
Just trim.
Trim Deanna's.
Trim Deanna's. It's important we get it right because that's what it says on the real piece of paper. Because
otherwise, Trim Deanna's Loans would be very upset, and also Trims Deanna's Loans, who are a different company,
totally separate company,
would get in touch with us and say, "Why you'd plug in our stuff without what have you done that for? I don't understand why you've used us as a sponsor when we're not."
Alternatively, Trims Deanna's Loans, which has been around a lot longer than Trim Deanna's Loans, could send a cease and desist to Trim Deanna's Loans because they've just found out about it because they operate within a similar space, and then they should have to change her name.
To Triple Deanna's Loans.
Precisely, yes. Or Double Deanna. I don't know, one of the two. So
tell me about Trim Deanna's Loans.
I'm gonna. So Trim Deanna's Loans is a money lending platform from Deanna, who happens to be in great shape. Right? All makes sense so far.
I see. She's not a hairdresser.
She's not a hair... No, she doesn't. She won't give you a trim. Deanna herself, the person, is trim. She's looking great. She's been working hard. She hasn't overindulged during Christmas like many of us did. Yeah. She's Trim Deanna. She's looking fantastic. She also runs a loan company for money. And if you... This is a very exciting offer because I feel like despite plugging various things before, we've never been able to offer our listener base sort of an exclusive offer.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
And if you were to take out a loan with Trim Deanna's Loans of £200,000 or more, you would get and use the keyword walrus. Yeah, you'll get a free whip with your loan.
Wow, a free whip. Where does that come in with? So is Deanna some sort of? Is she like a horse?
That's exactly what she is.
Driver.
Yes.
A horse driver.
Horse driver. Yeah.
I was trying to think of people who use whips in their occupation, and all I could think of was like dominatrix. So
well, maybe she's that too.
She could be. Yeah.
That's precisely what she may or may not be. Who knows?
Dominatrix and Slave Driver were the only two things I could think of.
Wow.
Like an Egyptian pharaoh.
Right, okay. Yeah.
Standing outside this, like the Prince of Egypt. Have you seen that?
Unfortunately, I have, yeah.
Yeah. God.
What a video that you watched 12 times at school.
Yeah,
because
it
the
was,
teacher
wasn't it?
was poorly.
Because it was biblical, and we both went to Catholic schools.
Very important, very accurate piece of fiction as well. I mean, media.
Fiction, steady.
As well, yeah, sorry. Very accurate piece of media, too. I didn't mean any disrespect by that, Moses.
No.
Anyway, trim Deanna's loans. Money lending platform from Deanna, who happens to be in great shape. Sign up for a new account today using the keyword walrus and you'll get a free whip. Where that whip came from or what it's used for ultimately is totally up to you. That's the exciting offer we have for you this week.
Yeah. Wow.
It's pretty big, isn't it?
Glad that's real.
Mm-hmm.
Full stop.
So let's move on.
Yeah. Question 1 comes from Sean Wallace, who says, "Hi, Ben and Peter. Sorry, are you going to interrupt me at any point? Okay.
I was going to just see how long I could do it for.
Sean Wallace says, "Hi, Ben and Peter. After Bethany Esda announced that they're making an Indiana Jones game..." Hang on. I'll carry on. Is there any movie franchise you wanted to see made into a video game, and by which developer? I don't know if you noticed, Ben, before we get to answering that question, they have just announced an Indiana Jones game, haven't they?
They have, yeah, that's really exciting. I'll tell you one that I would quite like to play, Peter.
Yeah.
I'd quite like a Guardians of the Galaxy game from a Mass Effect 2 era BioWare.
Okay.
I think that'd be... It's not real!
Oh, he got me.
Oh, I got you.
That felt so weird, and I felt like I was walking on like a frozen pond waiting for it to just go underneath me, but I didn't know when.
The footing ahead was treacherous, and I could feel how uneasy you were.
Especially continuing without having answered the question of where we're walking, but I hadn't forgotten.
No,
so I knew that it needed to be done, but we still hadn't done it.
We're both staring at it in the running order. We know we've got to do it. And yet... No, it's not real, unfortunately. Trim Diana's loans, which I immediately butchered and said Trim Diana's loans, despite when writing it last night thinking, I can't say Diana, because that won't work. And yet,
I must admit, I didn't get the game at first.
Trim Diana's loans is not real. Sorry. You can't get a free whip for whatever you want to use it for. We are, of course, sponsored by our wonderful patrons over at patreon.com/Team TripleJump. $1 is all you need to give per month in order to get access to the question post for this podcast each week and ask questions that could be featured here, as well as access other things. Did you know that Patreon also has other rewards? And you can get all sorts of cool stuff, so please do consider supporting us. It really helps, and we'd appreciate it a lot, especially as we're not getting a free whip anymore, which I thought would be, quids in.
And neither are we getting a £200,000 loan.
Either. No, not that, her rates were really famously bad, so
yeah,
probably a good thing we didn't. But where are we walking today, Peter?
Maybe we should be walking across that frozen pond, the treacherous footing, thin ice that we were walking across just moments ago, figuratively speaking.
But it's different from a winter wonderland, which is where we were last week.
Oh, right, okay,
This is just a dangerous pond.
Mm-hmm.
It's really... don't go on it.
Or lake, whatever's easiest for James to find.
Just a large body of water that if you go on it, you're going to die. So
you're going to die.
Don't go. But we will slowly, in PNG form, progress across the top of it in the video version of this podcast. So
yeah, looking forward to it.
That's wonderful.
Get to the end.
Yeah. Patrons who have submitted questions are wonderful, and they're superheroes, and we love them very much. People just like...
Sean Wallace, who says... Hi, Ben and Peter. After Bethany Esda announced they're making an Indiana Jones game, is there any movie franchise you want to see be made into a video game, and by which developer?
By which developer?
Which developer? Question mark.
Peter, I'd quite like to see a Guardians of the Galaxy game from Mass Effect 2 era BioWare.
Oh, would you? I didn't think you were going to say that necessarily. Wow. Yeah, how unexpected.
New information for everyone. I just think that it fits the mold pretty well. And when Mass Effect 2, and Mass Effect in general, does comedy and levity, it's usually quite understated. And I think they definitely had I say had because I think we all know it's not really the same studio anymore. A lot of the people have left who made that game so good.
Yeah.
I think they definitely have the chops to make a game that's a bit more comedic. And, you're playing as Star-Lord and you have to go around the galaxy doing side quests and being just sort of a naughty anti-hero with your best friends, because they're all best friends, all of them.
They are. Yeah, the tree and the little squirrel
the
guy.
Squirrel man, yeah.
And the woman.
No, hang on. She's green.
Oh, sorry, the green woman.
Yes, thank you.
She's and green woman.
Yeah, and the purple man, who's sometimes sort of beige and blue, but he's got purple bits on him. He's
a sheepdog trialist, isn't he? I think he does all that whistling and stuff.
Yes. He's called Flax.
Yeah.
Flax come on, there's got to be something. Flax the Transformer.
Yeah, okay.
Flax the Transformer. I'm just a big fan of that franchise, especially from the movies, obviously, and I would hope that it wouldn't be limited by the movie license. I would hope that it would be good, and I would, despite having played the Telltale Guardians of the Galaxy game, which I did enjoy, I think there's scope for a far bigger game there, especially when there are similar games that have already been made, and I would like to see that.
It's a very colourful universe, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
There's the only 2 Marvel movies I've seen properly.
Guardians 1 and 2.
Yeah, I've seen bits of the others, but they were fairly. I mean, I know like all the sort of pre-Avengers stuff is kind of standalone because it's introducing that character. The first movie of anyone is relatively standalone, but those in particular were set not even on Earth, so that was handy, and enjoyed them very much. So I've got a franchise here that there are already games set based on this franchise that exist, but they've not made any for a little while. Not in the kind of the sort of game I'm going to be talking about. Jurassic Park. I'd really like to see a sort of a first-person or third-person proper adventure Jurassic Park game. Something like either quite linear, like Uncharted or Last of Us, something like that, or maybe a bit more open world. Maybe it gives you like the whole island to explore. Perhaps you go to Site B, the one from The Lost World, which is all a mess, and you have to. I don't know if you go in there to like maybe collect dinosaur DNA for InGen, and you have to go and like dart different dinosaurs. It's like Pokemon Snap, but instead of taking photos, you have to dart the dinos. Or maybe you also have to there could be like a photography mechanic in there.
And try not to die.
Try not to die, of course. It's a big thing. And they could introduce all kinds of. It could even be they could like make it very non-canon and really like go to town with it and have like, some crazy stuff in there. Maybe there's like another island that's not in the canon yet where they were making more of the hybrid dinosaurs, because that would just give developers a lot more freedom to make things that are very video game friendly rather than just, hey, here's these preset animals, I say, meaning actual things that were made by nature. I mean, usually, I think there's enough variety in the dinosaur kingdom that there's plenty to put into a video game and for it to feel fresh and original as you move through a dinosaur game. There've been lots of very good dinosaur games, but Jurassic Park. It's a franchise that I'm actually a big fan of, although I don't talk about it very much. And I think it's prime material for video gaming, and there have been some really good games on it in the past. But lately, all we've had, I believe, is the park building one. What was that called?
Evolution?
Yes, Evolution. Which by all accounts is very good if you like your creator games. But as far as I can, from what I can think of, it's been a while since we've had a kind of story-driven Jurassic Park game. I guess the one before that was probably the Telltale one, which
that was all right, wasn't it?
Yeah, and I mean, Telltale games are good, but they're a different kind of thing to what I'm talking about here, where you've got full kind of agency and freedom to walk around and do what you want to do and have encounters and things. So I'd really like to see a proper dinosaur game where you control yourself, because that's even outside of Jurassic Park. There've been lots of good dinosaur games, but not many of them recently. There's like Dino Crisis, Turok. I guess the most recent non-Jurassic Park one would be Ark, maybe. You could sort of call that one, but I can't really think of any others since then. So I'd love to see more Jurassic Park stuff. It's great.
Yeah. Fingers crossed. They've got another film coming out, right? Is that been COVID delayed currently?
Yeah, the third Jurassic World movie. I think it was meant to come out in 21, and now it's not going to. But they've got loads of the old cast returning. Actually, the original 3 heroes, Jeff Goldblum, and they're all coming back with apparently like major roles, because Jeff Goldblum was in the second Jurassic World.
Right. Yeah, I did see that one. Yeah.
Yeah, he was just sort of chatting in a courtroom somewhere, and that was it. But I think they're more sort of involved this time.
Nice. So, well, it's important, that they follow the COVID restrictions, because dinosaurs are very rare and
very vulnerable.
We don't want to, and they're very old, so they are very vulnerable, and we don't want to risk losing them.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's good. It's good that precautions are being taken there. I have an additional couple actually.
Yeah, I do actually, but yeah, you go ahead.
Star Wars, right?
Mm-hmm.
I haven't really seen that done justice for a while. Didn't enjoy Fallen Order. Haven't enjoyed anything EA's done with it really at all.
Mm-hmm.
I'd quite like to, if I was to fantasy, make it similar to how beforehand I wouldn't have said, oh, the Spider-Man license and Insomniac Games, that's a match made in heaven. I wouldn't have known that they would make such a good game, and they did. I mean, obviously it's a very good studio, but when I thought Spider-Man, I wouldn't have thought Insomniac.
No, I wouldn't, yeah.
So, looking to Sony's first-party studios again, I would quite like to see a Star Wars game from Naughty Dog.
Yeah.
A proper third-person action game while Naughty Dog has been experimenting with some sort of open areas in their last couple of games, I would like to see a Star Wars game that has actual levels, rather than just being let's bloat this bad boy up, make it as big and open world and hide all the things everywhere as possible. I don't want that. I want a concise 15-hour narratively driven linear Star Wars game, and I would like to see that very much. Alternatively, given that Ubisoft are apparently making an open world, which makes my bones ache thinking about it.
Yeah.
And what a fantastic job Sucker Punch did making an Ubisoft-style open world game with Ghost of Tsushima. I would quite like to see a Star Wars game made by Sucker Punch as well, if it were to be open world. I would quite like to see that. I would prefer to see that than Ubisoft. But it's not going to happen. So never mind. But those two, I think, would make a really good Star Wars game that I would actually really get into.
I agree in that, like, I would be well up for a very quite linear driven focused Star Wars game in the style of, like, a Naughty Dog kind of third person thing, like the so-called, or the cancelled projects Ragtag and 1313. I think from the little that we saw of those, well, actually Ragtag I think was supposed to be open world, but I think 1313 looked like it was going to be a kind of Naughty Dog style third person Star Wars game. So they might be, I honestly wouldn't be surprised now if concepts like those sort of made a return at this point. I think Disney, the fact that they've cancelled this exclusivity license with EA makes me think that they sort of know, even though they don't want to admit, that like enough is finally enough. And it wouldn't surprise me if they sort of brought those ideas back, maybe under new names, but whatever. But you're right that, like, Ubisoft, it's not really the company I would have gone to from EA to Ubisoft. However, open worlds can be done right. It's just that Ubisoft don't always do them right, or rarely do them right. And you talk about Spider-Man and Insomniac. That is an open world game. I know the world isn't as big necessarily as some Ubisoft games, but that game had some of the Ubisoft fare, and it had map markers and like hideouts that you had to go and clear out and things to go and collect and stuff. But it was done slightly better, I think. It was a bit more organic. It wasn't bloated and overwhelming. So, the likes of Spider-Man and Horizon and things like that, they show that you can do, as you say, Ghost of Tsushima, they show that you can do open world games well. So I'm not even averse to a Star Wars open world game as such, but you're right that maybe just not one by Ubisoft. So we'll have to just see how that goes. I mean, at least it's being done by Massive, so it's not like... Hopefully it won't be too Assassin's Creedy, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, I mean, Assassin's Creed it's the safest bet for them, isn't it? It's the safest bet for Disney as well. Assassin's Creed is very popular and it does very well. Go to Ubisoft and say, make me one of those, but Star Wars. And it'll sell very well and it'll probably review well enough. And it's a tried and tested formula. So I'd be surprised if it wasn't like Assassin's Creed, to be honest. Just purely from this is the safest bet. It's the safest course of action here to make a game that we know how to make, but Star Wars.
I'd like to think it won't be, but won't be surprised if it is. Like, people have said, some people have been saying, oh, well, maybe it'll be a bit more like The Division,
Great.
Well, exactly. For starters, great. But also, although it is going to be made in that Snowdrop engine, there is a quote from the developer saying, oh yeah, so we're making it in the engine that we're used to developing in, but we want to do something completely different with it. Like, that engine was made so that it can kind of span different genres and game styles. So I don't think it's going to be like The Division. I don't know if they're basically just saying, yeah, we're making it in the same engine as The Division, but it's going to be totally different in that we're making an Assassin's Creed game in space, That kind of might be what they're getting at there.
If we get Space Assassin's Creed, I won't be surprised, but I will be a little disappointed. We'll see.
I will be too. But on the other hand, I think there's always going to be a little bit of me that will just find the enjoyment in it. I'm forever saying, I get why people don't like Battlefront 2, but I still like it a bit because it's Star Wars and I'm just such a big fan. So as much as all that we've said here about, Ubisoft probably won't do a great job, the long and short of it is I'm definitely going to play it, and even if it is Star Wars Assassin's Creed, I'll probably still get some enjoyment out of it. I will still be consciously disappointed that they've done that, but I'm not going to pretend that I'm not going to enjoy it. To an extent.
I think Ubisoft will do a fine and competent job. It just won't. It's not what I want.
No,
I don't want that.
I agree. That's the thing. They usually do an okay job. Like, Assassin's Creed games aren't bad. Watch Dogs games aren't bad. No. They're just not really they're not Naughty Dog or Insomniac or whoever else. So
no. Assassin's
Creed,
they're
not EA.
It's fine.
So.
Yeah, it's better than EA though.
Yeah.
Hopefully that's still an improvement. It's just not quite the improvement that I, never mind. Point has been made.
Yeah.
Did you say you had another one?
Oh yeah, just a quick idea, because it doesn't really exactly tie into the movie that I brought along, but it's kind of, the movie is indicative of the style that I'm thinking. Have you seen The Meg? That giant shark movie with a megalodon in it.
Right. Is that the one with Jason Statham where in the trailer he goes, "That's a megalodon.
It's a megalodon.
That's a megalodon." Like that. That's all I know about it, is that one line of his, which is so good.
Yeah, I went to me and Amy went to see her family. Like, this was like last year, pre-COVID, but and we were there for a couple of days. And on like the third day, it was like a really rainy day, and we had nothing to do. So we all just sat around and we looked at what was the movies that were available on demand, and that was there. And we all watched it, and we watched the whole thing. It's very cheesy and a bit silly and rubbish. However, when I played Beyond Blue, that sort of scuba diving game where you go around and scan animals, there was a bit where I swam out over this like completely black, I couldn't see the bottom of the ocean. I just swam out over the edge of this reef, like on Finding Nemo, where his mum dies with the barracuda. They get to like the end. Oh no, when Nemo goes and touches the boat, he gets to the edge of the reef and there's just a pit beneath him. And as that was happening, there's this thing in the game, in the story, about like this drilling that's going on, and it makes this really deep, like scary noise. And at the time, they didn't know what it was. And they were like, "What's that noise? What's that like grrr noise?" And I'm looking down at this pit, and I felt so sick and terrified. And I thought, a game based on something like The Meg, where you are in like deep ocean trenches, you quite often have to swim out over open water. You know that there are monsters around, not necessarily just a megalodon, but maybe there's other things too. Because The Meg is about how there's like this layer beneath the ocean, where there's like, at least megalodons have survived, and probably other creatures too. So maybe you have to go down and explore that whole under ocean. Mm-hmm. And I would absolutely hate playing it, but I think it would make a really good, terrifying game. So... yeah,
sounds good.
I can see that. Yeah, sounds dreadful, but I think it would be good for those people who like a spook in their games.
Sure, absolutely. Yeah. Peter, it's time to move on.
It is. Yeah, that was a big discussion, really.
It was a very, very large, bloated discussion. Sort of like an Assassin's Creed discussion, and it was. Just to be clear, I don't think Assassin's Creed is bad. I just don't like it. Yeah. There's a big difference there, okay? I know a lot of people love that game, and all the power to you. There. Well, I've said it.
Well, I have something to say back to that, but maybe I should wait until the next section, which is called "What Are We Playing?" What have we been playing this week?
What have we
been playing?
It's what we play in time. Time to talk about what we. What are we playing?
What have we been playing?
Peter, what have you been playing?
I have now sort of given up on Assassin's Creed, as I always do.
Why?
Yeah. How could I possibly not have the staying power to finish a game like that? See, I knew this would happen. I've not sort of suddenly decided, oh no, it's done something and now I don't like it anymore. Like the moment I purchased that game, I knew I'm going to play this game, I'm going to explore the world, enjoy the historical setting, enjoy going around Britain, and exploring a bit of the story, and then I'm going to get bored and I'm going to not play it again. And I knew that's what would happen, and that's what I've done, and I'm kind of okay with it. I'm at peace with it. I bought that game to just sort of kind of. Well, I don't know how much or how little I expected from it, but certainly I had a lot of fun. I liked the setting. I thought the characters were really good, but it's just so overwhelming, as they always are. And I just don't want to do it. I've got other games I need to play, I've got current gen games that have still, I've not played any solo Sackboy, which I think I will get around to doing at some point. I've not played Bugsnax yet. But on top of all that, I've got games in that PS Plus collection that I didn't play on the PS4 generation, and I want to give them a go now. So actually, I think what I want to move on to next is Horizon, which I've still
you're gonna do it out of the cellophane.
Not played, out of the cellophane. Yeah, actually, because that's not. I was fortunate in that's not in the collection, and I thought I'd be a bit disappointed if I'd bought a hard copy of it, never played it up to the point that I got my PS5, and then it became free. But I was pleasantly surprised to see that wasn't in there, as far as I remember. God of War is, and Last of Us Part 1, and various other things, but that one isn't. So yeah, that will actually have to come out of its cellophane rather than
my God,
be downloaded. So I'm really excited. I've said before, it kind of fell by the wayside initially when it first came out. And then when I decided, actually, no, I should definitely play that, and I bought a copy, it still fell by the wayside because there were things I wanted to play before the PS5 came out. I wanted to finish Spider-Man before Miles Morales came out. And then when the PS5 came, there were PS5 games I wanted to play. So it's just I've not been able to do it. And now I finally can. Because although, as I say, I do still have Bugsnax to play, and probably at least one or two other things I'm not remembering right now. I want to finally give it a go, and it's going to take precedent over that. So yeah, very excited. Outside of that, I did actually play a little bit more of Astro's Playroom this week as well.
Okay.
Just to grab a few more things. I didn't go back to it so I can start making my way towards 100%. Like, I'm not going to do that. But I just kind of felt like I'd like to play a bit more of it. I think after playing Sackboy on our joint stream, Blaze It, last week, I kind of got the bug again for modern 3D platformers, because I think they're being made so well now. I'm really excited for the future of the genre, really. So
resurgence.
The resurgence. Went back and played a bit more of that, and that's pretty much it. I played a tiny bit of Hogs of War outside of my stream just to try and get my eye in a bit more, because I was kind of struggling a bit with that. And I think since the previous stream, I did sit down and play one more session of Tekken Tag Tournament on PS2, but I've kind of put that away now. I'm back onto PS5 for the foreseeable.
Back on your bull flip.
Yes, I'm going to flip that bull.
Nice.
So there we go, that's me. How about you, Ben? Well, what have you been playing?
What have I been playing? I've been back in Warzone.
Yeah.
They have now nerfed, it's called the DMR is the gun, the one that was overpowered.
Ah, yeah.
They've nerfed it twice in 2 subsequent patches because the first time was not enough. Won a game like a legend, like a gaming legend. And I think I won another one of the special modes as well, which has actually stuck around for a surprising amount of time. So, yeah, a couple of wins in Warzone, had a lovely old time. Played a little bit more zombies, and I have now played and finished Spider-Man Miles Morales.
Oh, have you? Fantastic.
Yeah, it's great.
Yeah.
Really good. I love how he very much lives up to the sort of friendly neighborhood mantle. Like, he helps all across New York, but he's very focused on sort of his neighborhood, his little area, and you really get to know the sort of the people and the characters that operate there. It's a nice change from the first game, which was excellent, but obviously it was much bigger than helping individual grocery store owners, and getting to know them on a first name basis, which is what we sort of associate Spider-Man with, I think, in the comics and even the films sometimes. And obviously we come across Peter Parker's Spider-Man when he is several years into his Spider-Man career, so he's clearly moved beyond that.
He's sort of expanded.
I'm sure he still knows people, but we don't see them in the game. We're fighting super villains, all over New York. So that was a really nice change of pace. I will say that I actually didn't mind his voice too much, because you're not the only person who said that they found his voice kind of irritating.
Oh, really? Yeah.
But he is meant to be 17, so part of me is okay with his voice by virtue of the fact that he is young, but also because I'm assuming that the next time we see him, presumably in Spider-Man 2, that he will be a bit older, and maybe his voice will have changed a bit. If it's identical and he's like 19, then I don't know.
Yeah.
maybe that's kind of annoying. But I will watch with interest to see if it does change, because I'm hoping that he's intentionally voiced quite young, and that will alter as he grows older.
Yeah, but, I thought it suited him for his age. It's not that I thought, it was wrong as a voice, but it just, I guess I just find 17-year-olds a bit irritating, I suppose.
That's fair.
Yeah.
Hey, that's fair. One of my friends said that he sounded like he was 13. I don't think he sounds like he's 13, but he does sound young.
Yeah.
However, the voice of Genki, your friend, sounds so similar to the voice of Peter Parker Spider-Man that I actually had to Google if it was the same voice actor, if it was Yuri Lowenthal doing the voice for him too. It's not, but my God, they sound so similar.
Yes,
so similar that
they do.
I had to double take a few times and just check, is Peter talking to me or is it Genki? I don't know. I feel like maybe perhaps a slightly more distinct voice could have been chosen, or just one that sounded different, because they even have similar vocal patterns and inflections, and it's like that really threw me, for a while. And the only reason that that I realized perhaps, or that I settled into to being comfortable with the fact that's what Genki sounds like, was that I knew that Peter Parker was away.
Yeah, so it must be Genki speaking.
So it's got to be Genki. It's got to be him.
Yeah.
However, Troy Baker does just play Troy Baker, and that was kind of off-putting.
Right, yeah.
Because he just, fine. He's excellent, he plays a really good character, and he plays it really well, but it does just sound like Troy Baker. That's Troy Baker being Troy Baker.
Yeah.
Kind of like when you hear Nolan North being, oh, that's Nolan North. Oh, that's Nathan Drake. There he is.
Yeah. And it's weird because they're hired for so many things. You'd think they would go out of their way to try and differentiate themselves as much as possible every time they do a new... I mean, obviously, I'm sure there's a limit on how many iterations of your own voice you can do, but still...
Right. And he will have been asked to do that as well.
Yeah.
So it's not on him, but it was distracting for me to hear that. One small issue I had with it, though, was that I had a lot of issues with phone calls and, like, the Acast and the Jonah Jameson just the facts thing. They cut off constantly when I was nearby combat or various other things. Like, they would keep cutting off, and most of the time the phone calls would call back and like they'd go through
so
it
where
again.
Were you?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, sorry, you were saying something. You had something you wanted to tell me and stuff like that, which I think they've learned from other Sony first-party games, because Uncharted did that quite a lot as well, and I really appreciated that. But certainly, the radio shows and stuff, which you can listen to through the menu manually, but you have to sit there on the menu and listen to it. You can't play it and then go back into the game and it keeps playing. It cut off a lot, and that was quite frustrating, and I hope they change that for the sequel. But on the whole, it's it's a really lovely game, and it's like it did emotionally affect me in a way that I wasn't expecting towards the end. Like, I thought, wow, this is really powerful, and it's really good, and it's amazing to see that representation, not just of people of color, but also like various disabilities and things like that. It was just a really, really nice game, and I'm glad it's there, and the duration was perfect, especially for a game set in a city that we've become so familiar with the first game. So much so that actually I'm wondering how Spider-Man 2 is going to fix that, because going to the well a third time might become a little tiring. So we will see. But yeah, really enjoyed it. Thought it was great.
Yeah, me too. I think that's one of the things I said when we did our Games of the Year in the previous podcast, is the climax of that game. Really, I was really encapsulated by it as it really started to peak towards the end of the third act. It really, really grabbed hold of me more than I thought it would. So yeah, definitely, I agree with that entirely. Yeah,
it was awesome. A really, really good game. Yeah. Time to move on to question 2. This is from Callum's story, and thankfully Callum comes to us with a slightly shorter question. Perhaps. Yeah. Do you usually like to have playthroughs of several games on the go at once to have some variety and prevent burnout, or do you prefer to work through one game at a time so you can give it your full attention and finish it quicker?
I will only ever play one new game, a game that I've not played before, at one time. If I've started one, I mean, there's probably been times in the past where I've broken that rule, but as a general rule, for example, because I've been playing Assassin's Creed, I've not wanted to move on to another game. Not even a smaller one. I'm sure if I played something like Bugsnax, I could probably juggle that with Assassin's Creed and not get too lost. But it's just something that I prefer to go by. However, I don't mind peppering in replays or revisits of other games that I've already completed. So as long as I've only got one new game that I'm literally finding my way through and learning new bits of story as I go, then I'm happy to dip into whatever it is, Spyro Reignited, I'd quite often go back to, and as I say, even like PS2 stuff I've been playing recently. So yeah, only one at a time for me as in terms of new games. Yeah, I'm the same. I like to focus on one group of characters and story before moving on. I will usually juggle it with maybe a multiplayer or a co-op game that I play with friends, but for me, I do try to stick to one single player game at a time, if I can help it. Because otherwise I just feel overwhelmed. It's not so much a case of wanting to prevent burnout as much as it is, I'd rather risk burnout than risk losing sort of interest or connection with the world that I'm trying to immerse myself in by diluting it, by going into several worlds at once. I think people who do that are maniacs. I don't understand. I don't know how you can do it. Well, I guess it's too much for me. Also, for me, because I only I only play games like a couple of nights a week at this point. So if I was playing 2 games at once, even just 2 games, new stories that I've not played before, that would maybe be like a session and a half of each game per week. And if it's going to be 6 or 7 days between playing installments of a certain game, I'm going to either forget a few details of what's happened, or I might kind of, sometimes you do that thing where you're watching a show or you're playing a game or something, and if you leave it for too long, you might even forget that you're doing it. That you might even forget that you're halfway through something. You'll get distracted by something else and then go, oh god, yeah, I was sort of working through that thing there, wasn't I? Yeah, I better get on with that. So I think if I played too much at once, I would have too big a gap between like one installment to the next of like sitting down and playing some more story, and I think I could risk kind of dropping out of something a lot more if I did that because of the lack of frequency.
Yeah. I hate logging out of a game for an evening before finishing a mission, or like finishing what I had set in my head. Like I need to, I want to finish off collecting these items in Spider-Man Miles Morales, for example, and then at the risk of logging in the next day and completely forgetting where I was or what I was doing. So I can't do that with several games. Mm-hmm. No way. Peter, it's time to move on to a section that is a little odd.
Yes, it is.
It's the first Weird News of 2021! It's Weird News time to talk about some weird video game news. Peter, what strange gaming news have you got this week?
PlayStation Store pricing...
Okay.
My inflection was wrong. I was trying to just jump in with it, and I inflected incorrectly.
Oh, no.
I inflected.
Oh, dear.
PlayStation Store pricing error lists Greedfall at £10,000.
Oh, no. It's not worth that much money.
Ian Walker at Kotaku has written this up. It's really a very, very short article because that's basically the story. But, they wanted to give it 3 and a bit paragraphs. So
we've got to talk all about what Greedfall is first, and how it was reviewed, and how what the PlayStation Store is, and then there'll be a sentence that says it was listed at £10,000.
You are reading Kotaku. This is a website where we do news, but it's quite hard to find now because we've rejigged our website.
We've reached out to Sony for comment, but we've not heard anything back.
Yeah. Here we go. Greedfall is one of 3 games available to PlayStation Plus subscribers this month, but you wouldn't know it by looking at social media. Screenshots shared on Reddit and Twitter throughout the week show that some sort of pricing error has listed the role-playing game at £10,000 rather than its regular price. While the bug seems to be most prevalent in the UK, posts exist showing Greedfall priced in euros and Israeli new shekels as well. I mean, I guess they mean incorrectly priced. He's just put price. Posts exist showing Greedfall priced in euros. Whoa, no way.
Disgusting.
You can buy it in euros. Discussion of the error has become so prevalent that one r/PlayStation thread begs users to stop talking about Greedfall altogether. Wow. According to reports by IGN and Games Radar, similar pricing errors have popped up on the PlayStation Store since at least September 2020, affecting games like Street Fighter V and Dead Cells. They appear to be confined to the PlayStation 4. I have no doubt some folks out there like Greedfall a great deal, but I don't see it being worth a 22,000% increase in price. So maybe hold off until this whole thing is sorted out.
Yeah, probably. That's probably advisable. September 2020 sounds like roughly when they brought in the new store design, which has been a complete disaster. So
I wonder if
seems appropriate.
I guess, like, presumably, if you actually went through with a purchase, it would actually try and charge you $10,000.
Oh yeah, it would. Yeah. It would. I don't even know. I mean, they would obviously refund you, but like that's a life-changing amount of money to accidentally spend. I would like to think that your bank would call you before approving such a purchase, because my bank delayed me in pre-ordering the PS5 quite substantially. by running various security protocols, and that was obviously, £600 when I'd got everything with it.
Yeah.
And they were like, no, stop. Is this you? Yes, it's me. Come on, I'm going to get kicked off I've been kicked off the page. Okay, great.
Yeah, I think I would... It wouldn't let me buy something for 10 grand, I don't think, my bank.
No.
I doubt it.
I don't think it will. I don't have that money in there, so
well,
I don't know how I'd pay for it.
Yeah.
You want to know my weird news?
I want to hear some weird news from you, please.
Yeah, here we go. We're going back to an old favourite.
Mm-hmm.
In two senses of the word. This is from PC Gamer. A Fallout 76, hooray, militia, hooray, has been banned from Facebook for the second time.
Oh, wow, okay.
Do you remember when we talked about this previously?
I do.
Because they were just sort of automatically banned because of a sweep by Facebook. And the subtitle says, probably not a good time to be called the Free States Militia.
Oh, dear.
This is by Natalie Clayton. The Free States Militia might be able to handle anything the post-apocalyptic West Virginia wasteland can throw at them, but the Fallout 76 role players have once again taken a heavy blow from their greatest foe, Facebook. Styling themselves after the in-game Free States faction, the FSM have been booted from the social media platform once before. The group was accidentally included in a purge of violent militia groups from Facebook last October, and on January the 9th was banned once again. The FSM haven't heard from Facebook regarding this latest ban, though its members accept it is almost certainly linked to last week's violent storming of the US Capitol and a subsequent crackdown by social media platforms on extremist groups. Facebook does have policies against dangerous individuals and organizations, of course, and while no one would think for a second that the Free States Militia is actually plotting to overthrow governments, you can see how automated moderation would have massive problems distinguishing it from a real-world militia group. The faction's leader, Non-Servium79, or Bobby, told us via DM that we were all on Facebook to begin with. It's just easy to start a Facebook page. I wouldn't say we were drawn to it as much as it was convenient. Right. The platform's reach subsequently made it a great place for the faction to find new members, but following this latest ban, Bobby says they're not going back. We are 100% done with Facebook as far as the club goes. I myself am leaving it personally as well. Time to detox, I think. And the article goes on to talk about how their posts are 90% lore, and, it just seems that, the sort of usual reasons you would expect.
Yeah.
They were just very easily kept sort of swept up in an automated massive ban, and it happened for a second time, despite being cleared the first time.
You think maybe after the first time it being auto-flagged for something, that they would be able to... Facebook would then,
put them on a whitelist.
Yeah, once they undid it, they'd be like, oh, we better make sure that this doesn't get caught by AI again. We'll just pop a little, a tick on it saying this is okay.
Yeah. This is pretend, it's okay.
Yeah.
They've embedded a tweet here from the Free States Militia PlayStation Video Game Club they've added on the end, or FSM PlayStation Video Game Club, which is probably a sensible idea. Their their sort of username is still free_states_mil, but that could mean anything. However, because they post in sort of law speak most of the time, this still reads very questionably. If you didn't know that this was for a video game, you'd be like, oh man, this seems a bit scary.
Yeah.
And what they've written is, the Free States Council meet in a secret bunker deep within the mire to finalise plans to #walk away from @Facebook over their censorship and banning process. We are all old enough to choose for ourselves how we speak and what words we use. We will not be intimidated. Which, from an outside perspective, not knowing what Fallout 76 is, I don't know how you could distinguish that from a real militia group, to be honest.
I mean, never mind the AI moderation. My mum wouldn't be able to distinguish that, and she's a human being. She would, apart from it saying even if it said PlayStation Video Game Group in the title, she would probably just think it was violent gamer boys who wanted to overthrow the government.
And she'd also see that they haven't capitalized the S in PlayStation and think, well, that's clearly not. They don't know. They don't even know what they're doing.
It's disgusting.
And that's fake gamers. Gamers. But yes, obviously you should be allowed to post in law speak for role-playing purposes. That should be fine. And context is everything, and I'm going to click on their page now. Yeah, at the top it says, with 3 asterisks either side and in all caps, video game. And underneath, we are the original Free States, Fallout 76 PS4. We own the mire, and the guns of Harper's Ferry ensure our survival. So it's pretty clear that it is a video game. They've gone out of their way to make it clear that actually it's not. We're not a militia.
Yeah,
please
despite
don't
being
ban
called
us.
a militia.
We're not a militia, so context is everything, but I can see why there was perhaps some confusion, although Facebook shouldn't have banned them for a second time after clearing them previously.
Yeah.
Weird.
Oh dear. Right.
Very weird.
It's time for question 3. That was very weird, though.
I suppose it is.
This is from Dan Finn, who says, "Hi chaps, the world of video games is undoubtedly heading in the direction of cloud services. We may see another console after this new gen, but with more hardware and software moving to the cloud, what do you see as the main pitfalls? Would you still buy a physical game box for a game code, for example? Will you miss having a massive noisy hunk of plastic by your TV?"
Yeah, I'm going to miss it.
Yeah,
I'm going to miss the big plastic. I think I'll miss it. In time, it'll, I imagine, just become second nature. That who remembers putting VHS or DVDs into a player? Yeah?
Yeah.
And does anyone miss that?
No, not at all. In fact, I think I watched an actual physical DVD over Christmas, and it did just feel a bit weird having to go to the shelf, get a DVD off.
Oh my god!
Put it into the PlayStation.
Ugh.
Very strange experience.
I'm surprised you survived that encounter. Really.
Me too. I mean, it's a real first world hazard.
Like a hard day. Sounds like a really hard day.
Pretty tough.
To be fair, I am not into movies and TV in the same way that I'm into games. So I know my sister, for example, has a vast DVD collection and still asks for DVDs at Christmas. So people do like to physically collect the media they care about, and I understand that and I respect that. So perhaps it's not a fair comparison, because I feel about games how some people feel about films, and so they would probably still want a physical edition of, I don't know, the Meg.
The Meg, yeah. But you would too, right? With gaming, is that not what you're saying?
Yeah, that is what I'm saying. Yeah. So there's a good chance I would still be tempted to have physical copies, even if it was just for a code. But especially if it's either a game I really care about, or if they still do special editions with statues and stuff, maybe that would be me. But what about you? What do you think about physical media?
I'd be the same. I really like having physical media, but I think to an extent well, for one thing, if I was just buying a physical box literally just to get a code inside the box, that would feel so wasteful. Like having plastic made and shipped to me, and printing and all that. Even if it was the same cost, it would just feel like, what am I doing to the planet here? Now, obviously, I'm not going to put that thing in the bin. If I'm going to get it, the reason I'm getting it is to keep it and have it on a stack somewhere. So it's not like that. I mean, that would be wasteful to get it sent to me, take the code out, and then put it into landfill. Yeah. But even if it isn't, the fact is that thing has to be physically shipped to me, has to be manufactured and shipped to me. It's just not very eco-friendly. But also, I kind of feel like the disc, as much as anything else, is why I like having the physical thing. So it's having something that not only is there for me to look at on my shelf, but knowing that thing physically contains the game. I don't know. I've never really thought about it that much. Like, if you asked me, and I didn't put in as much thought as I do to answer these podcast questions, I would just go, oh yeah, I just like having the boxes, it looks good. But if something's just got a code in it, I don't know if I feel as strongly about. I don't think that's got the same effect as having something with the disc in. Yeah. And then on top of all that, I think ultimately, although I do like to collect physical media, I much prefer I feel much more strongly about it with old physical media. So I collect PS1 games and PS2 games, and although we emulate for the ease of capturing stuff, I
prefer to play it natively.
I prefer to play it natively, certainly if I've never played it before. So if there was an old PS1 game that I never got around to playing at the time, and I thought, yeah, I'm going to give that a go, which I do now and then, or PS2, I wouldn't just find the ISO online. I mean, for one thing, that's very much illegal, and I would never.
Can't do that.
But I would want to have my first experience of that game as it was intended. So yeah, I think as much as I do like to collect physical media, I feel more strongly about it in terms of old games. So with new stuff, I don't think I'll feel too bad if the next gen stuff is pretty much all digital. I'd still rather have a big stack of stuff of like, here are the things I own. But
I'd still rather have a bowl of Cocoa Pops, but all I have are Asda Choco Snaps. So what are you going to do, Peter?
Go and buy some Cocoa Pops if you like.
No, it's all right. No. I'd rather be a martyr and complain about it.
Yeah, why not? Well, we can do that. When the next generation comes out and we've only got digital stuff, we can say, our life is so hard. Now all we have to do is turn the thing on and it's all there.
I'm already having that a little bit with the PS5. The very few times I've had to change disc, I'm like, But I like the physical media. And the Nintendo Switch especially has already done that with a couple of big games that they just couldn't fit on the Switch cartridge. You just buy a box with a code in it, which is wasteful.
Yeah.
However, I think Football Manager is one of the first big mainstream games to have completely recycled packaging.
Oh, wow,
I think some other companies have said that they will follow with that sort of, cardboard packaging and recycled plastics and stuff. Mm-hmm. Like, that's great. That's good stuff. A packaging that you could just throw in the recycling bin, should you ever want to.
Yeah.
Maybe that's the way to go. And also, those look great. I've got a copy of Shadow of the Colossus and Eco on PS2, and those were in those flimsy, almost just, when you're holding it, it feels like, especially now, you found like an ancient scroll in an Egyptian tomb.
They get a bit dog-eared, don't they?
Yeah,
if you're not careful.
If you sort of blow on it too hard, it could disintegrate.
Yeah, I've got
but they look
Little
great,
Nightmares
though.
one. Yeah, they do.
Yeah.
Got like a big
really
A4-sized Little Nightmares one covered with art, and it's really nice.
Mm-hmm. So I like those. I'd be keen for those because those in and of themselves are kind of like special editions.
Yeah, I
they're
think
different.
So
yeah. I think that could be a move. Anyway, point is, physical media, I like it, and I would miss it if they stopped doing it. But very quickly talking about going in the direction of cloud services, which we have sort of touched on in the past. I've got a few bullet points here. In terms of, what does Dan ask? What do you see as the main pitfalls? Yeah. Secondhand market, that's gone.
Yeah.
Sharing games, gone. The refund policies, especially on PlayStation at the moment, are terrible. They're better on Steam. I don't know about Microsoft. I'm sure nothing can be worse than PlayStation's refund policies, so I'm sure it's better there. These would need to adapt to not only be better because you can't sell your games, but also, if we're streaming, then they're going to have to sort of adapt with the times as well and help people out perhaps who have poorer internet connections who can't play as well. So it's all going to have, the whole ecosystem as we know it is going to have to evolve. And these are obviously issues we've not really had before.
That's the one I was thinking of crucially is, having come from a place where the internet speed is not good, and even just installing a game that you bought digitally and you're going to play it offline when you finally got it installed, but just it can take a day to install stuff if it's a massive game and your connection's bad, your download speed. And the other thing kind of ties in with the second-hand market, but in a different way. When these games just are no longer supported, like at the moment that only affects the likes of games as a service or sort of games that are essentially just multiplayer only if the servers get shut down. But if all games become just streamable games held on some cloud somewhere, on a server somewhere in the cloud, then when they decide to just not support them anymore, that's it, they're gone. And it's probably going to make it a lot more difficult for communities to keep these things going themselves. Because at the moment, because we have the physical stuff, generally, there are dedicated communities for almost every major game that has been taken offline officially. But because they have access to the physical data, normally clever people can do clever things and get these things working on custom servers and stuff so that you can still play most of the games that have been shut down. But it's probably going to be a lot harder to do when the actual game itself, the app, you don't even have access to. You don't have the data on your console or on a disc, or you can't get into that. So that'll be a real shame, I think, when new games come out that are much beloved, and then within 5-10 years they'll just be gone forever, that'll be a real tragedy.
Yeah, that would have to be something that evolves as well. Like,
it would be
that licensing agreement, because that's already happened with genuinely just license issues. We had all the Telltale games disappear.
Yeah,
and if you purchased those before and didn't have them downloaded, they're gone. You couldn't get those back. I think they've slowly been re-added now, but that's happened with other games too. People have bought games, played them, deleted them, and while they're still in their library, they've then subsequently been removed from various digital storefronts and they've lost access to them. It's like, great. So the thing I paid for is gone. You've taken my product away. So that will also, those sort of consumer rights will need to change. I don't think they will, because flip consumers, am I right? Mm-hmm. They don't care about the consumers. They'll do everything they can to take shortcuts. But, hopefully that will be one of the things that will alter as we approach that streaming age. Yeah, hope so. It's time to move on, Peter.
It certainly is. Let me grab a little prop here. I'm ready.
To
something big discussion. Discussion.
Big discussion time. It's time for the big discussion. Now, we talked about our top 5 games of 2020. It's time to talk about our top 5 most anticipated games of 2021. This comes courtesy of Jamie Starr, who asks, most anticipated games of 2021.
Fragment, I also want to consider revising.
Yes. I also want to thank all of the patrons who asked similar questions about, predictions and stuff like that. But we're going to focus on the games we're looking forward to this year. Now, I don't know about you, Peter. There are lots. It looks like a really good year for games. Yeah. And while there are lots of games I want to play, it was honestly kind of tricky picking 5 standouts. As in, I want to play Ratchet and Clank, don't get me wrong, but I don't feel strongly enough to say it's one of my 5 most anticipated games.
That's exactly one of the ones that I felt that way about too. Yeah, like I scribbled down like an initial, like all the ones I could think of before I curated a top 5, and that was up there. Same with remember that Kenna thing with the little.
My number 5 is Kenna Bridge of Spirits.
There it is. Yeah, it looks interesting, but it's not one of my 5.
Yeah, it was tricky looking through it because I think there's going to be a lot announced this year, and a lot confirmed for this year too. Currently, we have very few confirmed release dates for a lot of these games. It's just sort of Q4 2021. So, well, that's not coming out this year, is it? But we've sort of got to read between the lines and just pick from games that are currently slated for this year and pick out a top 5. So, yeah, it was pretty tricky getting this top 5 together, but I've done it. Have you done it?
Agreed. Yeah, I mean, one thing that made it slightly easier for me, or freed up a slot, is probably my number 1 or number 2 most anticipated game of this year would have been Hogwarts subtitle, whatever it's called, Legacy. And sadly moved to 2022. Push. So, but never mind. I've got more space now to talk about a different game. So
plenty
I've got
of games.
5. You've
plenty
got 5
of games coming out. Okay, so my number 5 then was Kenna Bridge of Spirits, which is from that studio that's made, I think, predominantly animations in the past and not really done games. This is their first game. It looks absolutely gorgeous, like an animation, like a Pixar film or something. We'll see if it's got any substance at all, but it is coming out, I believe, in the first quarter of this year. So I'm really excited to give that a go. And if anything, just play a game that looks like that, even if that's the only novelty and it's ultimately not a very good game where it counts.
That's the thing. I remember watching the trailer, and it's very easy to... Normally, you see something that's like, it's a CG trailer or it's showing a cutscene, and you can think, wow, this looks really good. And then like it might show gameplay after that, and you're like, yeah, okay. I mean, CG stuff and cutscenes are always going to look better than the game. I actually found it the other way around. I was watching the opening to the trailer and thought, yeah, this looks all right. It's just an animation of her face, and there's like bits of the world being shown. And then it cuts to gameplay, and there's something about the way that game moves and the way it's animated that I don't know what it is, because like superficially it kind of looks nothing too exciting and different to things we've seen before, but there's a nuance to it that I think looks kind of special. I can't really put my finger on what it is. It's a visual thing, but I don't know what aspect. But anyway, yeah, I'm looking forward to that. My number 5, it's at number 5 because we will only play it on stream, but I'm looking forward to when we play it on stream. Dark Pictures House of Ashes.
Yeah.
I can't wait for that game to come out because we've had such fun with the other two. And I nearly didn't give a space in this 5 to that game, but I am just genuinely looking forward to playing it. So yeah, there it is.
It's gonna be another corker, I think.
Yeah,
it's gonna be another good one. It's sad though that they obviously have not intended for it to become sort of B-movie schlock.
Yeah.
Have a few drinks and laugh at it, but that's very much its niche, and I for one,
they should embrace that.
I think it should lean into it. Until Dawn. Oh, excuse me, my voice is completely going.
We've been going for too long.
That's it. Until Dawn lent into a lot of sort of stereotypes, especially with its cast of characters.
Yeah.
But then with Man of Medan, it felt like it was trying to take itself really seriously, but it was still cheesy, and there was such a mismatch there that it ended up being quite naff, but in a funny way.
Yeah.
And that's continued with this last one as well. So I don't know if they lean back into it with the next one or if they stay the course, and part of me hopes they stay the course, which is not good for them, selfishly, pretty good for us, though, because it's fun.
Looks like they've already, I think it was kind of all but finished already because they showed a little bit of it, didn't they, at the end of Little Hope.
Yeah.
I'm sure they were still tinkering with it, but like they will have already written it and probably captured it all and animated most of it. So there's probably very little they can do at this point in terms of changing it if they wanted to. But yeah, we'll see how it goes.
Yeah.
What's your number 4?
My number 4 is It Takes Two.
Oh, yeah.
Which is the new game from Joseph Fares of Brothers, A Tale of Two Sons and A Way Out fame. I, again, for similar reasons to Dark Pictures Anthology, I love his work. And also he's got sort of David Quaid vibes going on.
Yeah.
Where the stuff he makes is really unique and there's nothing really like it, but it's a little wonky and I love it. Like A Way Out was such a unique game to have it built around co-op, not like, for example, something we played recently, Sackboy, where you can get through those levels on your own, apart from the dedicated co-op stages, but you can get through those levels on your own.
Yeah.
It's just way more fun to play it in co-op, and that's what a lot of co-op games are like. Borderlands, better in co-op, but you can play it on your own. A game that's built around co-op and that you need 2 players to play doesn't exist, really. And he's one of the only people that does those games, and I love the concept, and I think it looks really fun and really silly, and I'm very, very much looking forward to it. I will follow this game with interest. It's not far away either. I think it's next couple of months. It Takes Two, so excited for that one.
Yeah, it looks interesting. My number 4 is Resident Evil Village.
It's my number 3.
Is it? Yeah, I nearly put it at number 3, but I'm kind of... There's a sense of dread there, that makes me slightly less excited for it than my top 3, in that I know it's going to be fantastic, or I'm sure it is anyway, I don't know, but I am a little bit scared. I found Resident Evil 7 very frightening and unnerving. It's first person, which doesn't help, and it was just so claustrophobic. And again, the same with... Part of the reason why, I'm so used to Resi 4 now because I played it through again and again, but part of the reason why that scared me so much when I first played it, particularly in the opening third, is that it's not clear for the first hour or so that those people have a parasite in their brain. It's just, it looks like you've turned up at this village of the damned, and these people are just going to kill you, but they've got their wits about them, which is different to zombies. You know, a zombie, yeah, it's going to come and kill you, and it looks scary. It physically, it's got a rotten face or whatever, which looks worse than a completely intact human being. But I think I talked about this in a video once before, actually. One of the scariest images for me in the opening act of Resi 4 is that when Leon barricades himself in the shack when he reaches the village, you see just in the background, he's like talking and the camera's on him, but just in the corner through the window, two villagers run past carrying a ladder together. And when I saw that, I was like, oh my God, that's terrifying, because like a pair of zombies can't cooperate with each other like that and get a ladder and put it up the window. So Resident Evil Village seems to be a similar kind of thing in that, like Resi 7, you were dealing with kind of competent human beings who want to kill you, and I think maybe we're getting the same sort of thing in Resi Village. So looks very scary, but of course it looks like it's also going to be brilliant if I can bear to get through it. So looking forward to it with a sense of dread.
Absolutely. I haven't and cannot play Resi 7, and I think it's purely down to that first-person perspective. There's something about being in third person that makes me feel a little safer.
Yeah, I agree.
And I was fine playing through Resi 2 and Resi 3 remakes. So if this game is third person, I will give it a go. I'm mainly excited for it because I want to watch it played. You know, I'm really excited that there's a new, because I've really gotten into Resi over the past couple of years.
Yeah.
Like surprisingly so, given it is one of the sort of on the Mount Rushmore of games that scarred me as a child.
Yeah.
Or just pieces of media that scarred me as a child. Resident Evil 2 was firmly on there. And to have come full circle to actually enjoy Resident Evil is a surprise to me. But if they sort of see the success they've had with Resi 2 and 3 and adapt that into an original story in terms of gameplay mechanics and third person and all that kind of stuff, then I'm on board. I will play it. I will play that.
If it's first person, will you not play it? If it's first person,
I don't think I will, no. But either way, I'm looking forward to it coming out and sort of being part of that excitement and watching it all unfold. I hope to play it, but even if I can't, I'm still excited for it.
I may well stream it. I mean, maybe we'll... I don't know. We'll see. But we may have had confirmation one way or the other if it's first person or not. I don't know, and we can be corrected in the comments if we're being silly and ignorant. But I would actually, personally, I would bet that they'll do first person, because I believe it's a direct follow-up to Resi 7 in that it follows, I think he was called Ethan, the character from Resi 7, the protagonist. I think you play as Ethan again, or he's certainly in the game. Maybe he's actually a character, a supporting character rather than the playable character, but he's in it, I'm pretty certain. So because it's so inherently tied to Resi 7 and that character, it wouldn't surprise me if stylistically they did put them together like that.
Yeah.
Maybe
it would make sense. It would make sense too. It's just a part of me that's going to be the deciding factor in me playing it, honestly, which I've never been able to say about any game before. If it's third person, I'll play it. If it's first person, nah, I'm all right. I want to sleep. I want to be able to sleep. So
it was such an unnerving game, Resi 7, and God. So there we go. That's my number 4. What's your number 3?
That was my number 3.
Oh, of course, So we sort of.
What's your number 3?
Did 2 in one go there. My number 3 then is Little Devil Inside.
Yeah.
Which I don't think there is. So I saw a thing recently where the release date to that has apparently been accidentally leaked and I've got no context or specific details for this, and I can't find the article now, but it was something about a slide on a presentation was accidentally shown in something. This is the most vague thing ever, but basically it had a list of release dates on there, some of which hadn't been officially announced, and I think it's a June or July 21. Okay. And I think this game, it hasn't actually had that properly announced, but that's what people are thinking it is going to be now. In any case, looks like a really intriguing game, both in terms of its art style and also it's just the gameplay. I really like the whole idea of it. We only know a little bit based on, I think we've only had that first reveal trailer of it, but yeah, I'm really keen to know more. And maybe it's one of those games that when we see a bit more, maybe I'll be less intrigued, but maybe indeed I'll be even more excited for it. So for now, it's tentative, but from what we've seen, I think it's going to be something that I'm really excited to play when we finally get an update. So
yeah, it looks delightful.
Yeah, it does, doesn't it? Very unique style.
Yeah. My number 2 is Horizon Forbidden West.
Right, yeah.
Looking forward to that one. Got to find out if it's actually coming out this year.
Mm-hmm.
I believe this one is confirmed to be coming out on PS4 and PS5, so that's a little disappointing that it's going to be held back.
Yeah.
By the previous gen, but we will see how much of a difference that makes. I'm excited to see the new robo creatures, and I'm really interested to see how they can follow up that story and still make it compelling, because the first one had such a good story with such a good central hook about why is the world like this, essentially.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the things I said at the time when I played it was, I don't know how they could possibly follow up this game. Like how, if for me personally, the best thing about that game was that central hook. How on earth do you do that again?
Yeah, right.
While still following the same character?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. So I'm keen to see how they manage it. At the very least, it'll be a very competent open world game where you fight robot dinosaurs and stuff. Mm-hmm. So that'll be fun. But hopefully they can come up with something that's as interesting and exciting as the original story. I don't know if they will, but I hope they do, and I'm very excited to play it.
I thought about putting it in my list, but given that I've not played the first one yet, I thought I can't quite justify it. I think I know that once I've played the first one, that the sequel will be a hugely anticipated game for me, but it didn't really make any sense to put number 2 in there before I've played number 1. But it's sort of my phantom number 6, maybe.
Nice. Your Mambo number 5.
It is my Mambo number 5, not my true number 5, just the Mambo version.
Mm-hmm.
My number 2 is from Little Devil Inside to Little Nightmares, or Little Nightmares 2, I should say.
Mm-hmm.
Or Little Nightmares 2, if we're serious about this. That's out very soon. It's out in about a month's time. And I really enjoyed the first one. And this one looks to be more of the same in a good kind of way. But also they seem to have innovated and given it its own sort of a special touch, which is that I think they've left the moor, so we're in a new setting. The moor was that place where they were feeding, I think, children to big sort of slobbery Jabba the Hutt men and women. Mm-hmm. But there's 2 characters playing alongside each other. I don't actually know, and I should inform myself about this because it's probably quite an important detail. I don't know what the exact deal is with single player, multiplayer, I assume there is a multiplayer component if you want to play it that way. Whether you have to play it that way, I don't know. If you play it single player, if that's an option, does that mean that the other player is controlled by AI, or is there a separate kind of slightly different set of puzzles and levels if you're playing it single player? I don't know how it works, but in any case, I'll either play it on my own if that's an option, or I'll play it with people if I have to, mm-hmm. Or if I can. So that's part of the reason, I guess, why I've not even bothered looking up exactly what you can and can't do, because it doesn't really affect whether I'll play it and enjoy it. So just looking forward to revisiting that world, because it intrigued me so much. Not just the way it looked, like the whole art style of it, but it had that kind of ambiguous lore to it, in that you have little bits and bobs that you can put together, but there's no proper confirmation or clarification from the devs or any of the accompanying material as to exactly what's going on. But you know very well from playing your Soulsborne games that that's something that can be really that can really add to a game rather than take away from it. Just like ambiguity, but it's not just completely abstract and confusing. It's like you can see that something is going on there, and it probably has a thread going all the way through it, but it's kind of up to you as much as anything else. So, yeah looking forward to learning more about the world.
It's like a sort of play dead world, isn't it? Like Limbo or Inside, but more fleshed out and a bit more expansive.
Yeah, it's just like that, actually. Yeah.
My number 1 is God of War Ragnarok.
Right, of course, yeah.
Again, I don't know if it's coming out this year. They said 2021.
Mm-hmm.
Will it? Question mark? Who knows? Is it out on PS4 as well as PS5? Also, who knows? They will not confirm it, so I don't know. Maybe they're deciding whether or not to just do it on PS5. Either way, it'll be gorgeous. The last game ended on such a cliffhanger and a hook after the credits that you're gonna want to see what happens next, and I cannot wait to jump back into a game that they did such an incredible job rebooting, for want of a better term. The original, it still acknowledges the original games. It's just they've managed to completely redesign Kratos and move him to Norse mythology instead. And it was so good. I'm wondering what kind of issues they're going to run it up against and how they're going to solve them, like they did between the original God of War 1 and 2, where Kratos was just stripped of all his powers and he had to start again and unlock stuff.
True.
And stuff. Don't make me do that. But equally, how do you explain away why Kratos forgot to do certain things? Or that he lost all of the armor you spent ages getting for him in the first game,
That's true. I don't
know how they're going to do it.
It's an issue that lots of games face. Like when the next Spider-Man comes out, you're either going to be playing as Peter or Miles or both. And what do you do there? Do you strip them of their powers again? And do you just not address it and just have them go, oh, wow, I've just made this new gadget. Really cool. Or do you
come up with a whole load of new powers?
Put a lore story, or new powers, or do you put a lore reason in there as to why they've lost all this stuff? It's a tricky thing to tackle in games.
It is. It is. I'm sure it will be absolutely excellent. I know Cory Barlog is not involved, I don't think, this time, or at least he's not producing it, so I'm sure he's been involved, and I am certain it'll be excellent, but will it be as good as the first one? I don't know. Will the novelty of a Kratos that's not utterly detestable have worn off by now? I don't know, but I'm really excited to play more of it, and I'm sure it will be absolutely outstanding whenever it is that it releases.
I'm sure it will, and that's again another game I need to play. I need to play the original in good time before that one comes out, because it's another one that I know full well I will enjoy as much as everyone else has.
You will,
and I'll be keen to play the second one. So it's probably my Mambo number 7.
Sure,
or maybe even my Mambo number 1. Who knows? But my real number 1 is Lego Star Wars: The Skywalker Saga.
Wow. Okay.
It's actually my most anticipated game.
That is surprising.
Yeah? It's been so long since I played a Lego Star Wars game, and I really enjoyed them back in... since I played a Lego game, I should say. And I really enjoyed them back in the day. And I've just not really felt the need or the desire to play any of the more recent ones. Partly, I guess, because they've just not really been based in IP that I'm especially interested in. They've been doing some like Marvel, and I think they've done DC stuff as well, possibly, question mark.
Yes, they have.
Yeah, but having seen the trailer for that game, it's every one of the movies. It's no secret that I'm a huge fan of the whole franchise, and they're redoing episodes 1 to 6 as well. So they've not just remastered or even remade in a similar way the original Lego Star Wars games. I think they've remade them, but in a completely new style to match all the developments that have happened since then. Because of course, the Lego Star Wars games were the first in the long run of Star Wars games Lego games that we've had. So a lot has changed since then. All the characters used to be mute back then. Now they have... I know for some games, like I think the Jurassic Park Lego games, they used actual snippets from the movie. They used like actual audio lines that they'd extracted. I think in others, maybe they've actually revoiced the characters and had them repeat lines of dialogue from movies, but with a new voice actor. And it just looks so good. And I think it's partly because it's been such a big gap since I've really sat down and played one of the Lego games, it seems like it's been a massive step up. I watched the trailer and thought, wow, look how much better this is than the Lego Star Wars game that came out like 10 years ago, or however long ago it was. So, yeah, just really keen to play it. It seems like the kind of thing that'll be fun to just sit down with. I'll maybe able to play with, be able to play it with Amy as well. I think she'll enjoy it. So, yeah, I'm not saying it's going to be my game of the year in terms of like best game, but I've just been really looking forward to it, and yeah, it might not even be my top 5 in terms of quality, but in terms of anticipation at the moment, that's well up there.
Wonderful. I hope it lives up to your expectations.
Yeah, me too.
Fingers crossed. And that is our most anticipated games. Let us know what your most anticipated games for 2021 are in the comments, or tweet us. That sort of stuff. Now, before my voice goes completely,
yeah,
Peter is going to tell you where you can find us.
We are Team TripleJump, wherever you look. We are putting content out all the time on YouTube and Twitch, youtube.com and twitch.tv/Team TripleJump. We stream on both of those channels, and of course we put videos out on YouTube very regularly. If you are watching on Twitch, sorry, if hello, if you want to subscribe on Twitch, you can use Amazon Prime as to get a free subscription. So you might not be aware of that. You might have Amazon Prime purely for the other benefits, but if you check out Amazon Prime, you can get a free Twitch subscription. So you get all the normal benefits of a Twitch subscription, but it won't cost you anything extra. It's just your usual Amazon Prime fee will go out as normal, and we will still benefit financially as well. So there you go. And when we are streaming, as I was trying to say before, on YouTube and Twitch, we are modded by Lord Rotovich, Madstadactyl, and Trowling Badger. Thank you, mods. Our social medias are twitter.com and facebook.com/Team TripleJump. Luke Eldon looks after Facebook. Thank you, Luke. You're doing an excellent job. We've got a Patreon, which is patreon.com/Team TripleJump. Lots of incredible rewards on there, including asking questions on this podcast, exclusive room in our Discord, worst games ever early, and so on and so forth. Check it out. That Discord is available at bit.ly/Team TripleJump. Thank you to the mods there, Jack and Joe. You're also doing a wonderful job. The podcast, if you're watching on YouTube, is available in audio form at play.acast.com/s/TripleJump. The website is triplej.mup. That's ju.mp. If you go to triplej.mup/shop, you will get to our store. Or if you go to triplej.mup/VODs, that will redirect you to our VODs YouTube channel. And that's looked after by Pat, who edits our weekly highlights together. And also by James, who uploads the VODs there for us. Thank you, everybody.
Absolutely. You can follow Peter on Instagram and Twitter at @PeterAustin, and myself just on Twitter at @confused_dude. We do lists every Tuesday and Thursday, streams every Monday, Thursday and Friday. Thursday being the joint stream, Blaze It on YouTube. Monday and Friday being solo streams on Twitch. Worst Games Ever is fortnightly, Friday for patrons of a certain tier, Sunday for everyone else. The podcast is every Saturday, and we do shows one every other week or thereabouts. Finally, leave a review on iTunes or something, platform of choice, helps with algorithms and so on. We appreciate it. This week on the channel, there's a brand new What It Means to Me with Rithian, who talks about Planescape Torment. Rithian from the Acast, of course. He's been a great supporter of ours over the years.
He has, yeah.
So do go and watch that and hear his thoughts about that game, what is important to him. And also, Peter, you've got a second episode of Playback coming out.
Yeah, it's a long time coming. It's very much a passion project. I just do it on my own time. I don't like to do it on the clock because it's so niche. But that's why they don't come out very often. But it's here. It's arrived. So that should be out already. Actually, yeah, is it out scheduled for? I don't know what day I've
Is it Sunday?
Oh, it's Sunday, is it?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, it is. I couldn't remember if I put it Friday or Sunday. So Sunday. We're looking at the strangest dinosaur video games on the PlayStation 1, and there are probably more than you would think. Just realised that I talked for about 10 minutes about dinosaur video games in question 1. I'm going to sound like a broken record when I was talking about Jurassic Park. And it didn't even make the connection there, but there you go.
Could have used that as great promotional time for your new video.
I could. So with spoilers, we maybe touch on 1 or 2 old Jurassic Park games that were available on PS1. Some of them, well, all of them, hopefully, a bit strange. So
go check that out. It'll be live tomorrow on the channel.
Yeah.
Just enough time to talk about this week's sponsor again, Trim Diana's Loans, the money lending platform from Diana, who also happens to be in great shape. Sign up for a new account today using the keyword walrus, and you'll get a free whip. That's real. You can get that.
Yeah.
Right, it's time to go.
Another long one there.
Yeah.
We're spoiling you. You've had about 3 podcasts worth of stuff in the past 2 episodes. You're
flipping welcome.
Pay us for it on Patreon if you like. It's up to you.
It's really, Patreon will be great. It's really tough, isn't it? Getting straight up and then having to do one of these immediately.
And just like speak not just coherently and consistently, but also concisely.
Yeah,
it's
absolutely.
difficult.
Yeah, so I'm going to go have some food now, I think.
Yeah, me too.
And then we'll reconvene for a stream later, I guess.
Yeah.
Maybe. It's time to go, everyone. We'll see you next time.
Bye-bye.